Good day and thank you for tuning into UJ Observer TV. This is our news interview section. My name is Togo Jean Chilenga. We'll be discussing voting and elections in the SRC this coming month of October. In every democratic society, your vote is your voice. And here at UJ, there is nothing different about that. We'll be having SRC elections coming up between the 3rd and the 5th of October on all 4 UJ campuses. Your voice affords you an opportunity to be heard, so please ensure that you do take part. Talking us through this very significant exercise here at UJ is the Director of Student Life and Governance, Mr. Godfrey Helani. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Helani.
Thanks for having me.
Why should students participate in the upcoming Student Representative Council elections, that's the SRC elections?
Students should participate in the SRC elections because that's the opportunity that they either themselves stand for the elections or they vote for somebody that will represent them in decision-making bodies of the university. The SRC has got a fiduciary role that we find in the Higher Education Act, and it sits in council, the highest decision-making body of the university, where important decisions are taken. And it's very important that students participate to ensure that we've got this organized body that will reflect their views and their interests in the highest decision-making body.
We're getting that the function of the SRC is to represent students to the highest level within the university. So that would cover, say, grievances, F7s, issues such as that. But what other areas would the SRC function in pertaining to students?
Okay, representation would cover what you have just said and beyond. It may not necessarily be only reactive to grievances, but also to have an input in how we want the university to be run, what the university should reflect. This, but they also have got the responsibility of organizing extramural activities.
Please may you explain the voting procedure to us, how it will work, how it will be set up, and where exactly students slot in between the 3rd and the 5th when they vote.
Okay, the voting process, which is going to take place from the 3rd to the 5th of October, will happen on each campus of the university. At APB, the voting station will be in front of the student center. At APK, it is also adjacent to the student center. At DFC, it's also in front of the student center. At Soweto campus, it's in the Tsitsi Gardens in front of the administration block. Students will be required to go with their student cards to cast their votes. And these elections are managed by the IEC, and the IEC will provide the ballot papers with the information of the candidates standing. So basically the rule is one person, one vote. But the vote will be per portfolio on campus SRCs. Each student will be required to vote for one candidate on each portfolio, and we've got 10 portfolios on the campus SRC. And students will also be required to vote for 2 candidates to be on the UJ SRC, but that is not attached to a particular portfolio. So basically, the requirement is you have to have a student card in order to cast your vote. Should it happen that there are students who do not have their student cards because they lost them or because of whatever reason, they are requested to bring proof of registration and their identity document.
So as you identified, there will be voting on the 4 campuses. Will this result in one SRC? Where will the candidates be based, operating from, etc.?
Yes, it will result in one SRC. In fact, according to the Higher Education Act, each university needs to have one SRC. But this SRC has given or mandated its role to what we call campus SRC, but it's part of the one SRC. The campus SRC's role is to represent the interests of students on a particular campus, while the UJ SRC takes the responsibility to represent students across all campuses. But basically it's one SRC. Campus SRCs draw their power and authority from the UJ SRC. So the outcome of this particular vote will have 4 campus SRCs and 1 central SRC called UJ SRC. UJ SRC has got 8 members and each campus SRC has got 10 members. So the 48 in total are the SRC members of the UJ.
In the past, people who have held SRC positions or membership have been accused of corruption, be that abuse of funds or not following up on student grievances for whatever reasons. And this is without implying that the current SRC have been found guilty of such allegations. What would you say is important for voters to note, to be aware of, when they are voting for SRC members?
I think one, which is very important to the voters, is after voting, they should not just think they have done their part and sit back. They still need to hold accountable the SRC that they have voted for. There is a student parliament provided for by the SRC constitution, to which the SRC account, where the financial statements, program of action, all these aspects of the SRC are reported to. And the provision in the SRC constitution is student body, it's represented. So I would say to students, to voters, after voting, whoever wins, still hold him or her accountable through this particular body of student parliament. Students do not need to wait for the student parliament to sit to raise issues if they are aware of elements of corruption. They are welcome to report those suspicions to my office or to the Student Ethics and Judicial Services Division, which is responsible for the DC. Cases that have been brought to us before, we managed to deal with them through these structures that I have indicated.
So because you've stressed accountability and students getting hold of your office as well as student ethics, how would they get hold of you to raise grievances of corruption?
Students may contact me through my email address, ghelani@uj.ac.za. Or they may also go to the student development practitioner offices on campuses. At APB, we have got Ms. Keke. At DFC, we have got Mr. Jimmy Mulawudzi. At APK, we have got Ms. Boni Siseri. At Soweto, we have got Mr. Derek Vuma. If they so wish to contact the Student Ethics and Judicial Services Office, the director of that division is Ms. Nita van den Berg. Her email address is nitavdb@uj.ac.za.
What measures does Student Life and Governance apply to ensure that elections are transparent and the results have been counted objectively?
Student Life and Governance has appointed the Independent Electoral Commission to manage this election process. And the candidates are also allowed to send observers. Observers, I mean people who represent them to observe if the voting and the counting is fair. So they are allowed to send observers to come and observe the process. So those measures are also used nationally in ensuring that the elections are free and fair.
What affects voting during student life will have when we leave campus, because we don't want to be students forever as much as we love the lifestyle. But how does it lead to better governance, better self-management, etc. once we leave campus life?
This election process is one of the platform to promote social responsibility. I mean, even beyond the university, you will still need to choose or elect people that will govern or lead you. Secondly, students whom we produce will also want to see them beyond their studies to be leaders in their respective spheres. So I think this is a good foundation in making sure that students are aware of their social responsibility.
Thank you very much for your time. It's been very informative. I hope you got a lot from this interview and that you will be going out to vote in the SRC elections between the 3rd and the 5th of October. This is the only way that we can make sure we're represented the way we want to be. Thank you. Have a good day.